This is Akashvani, Bengaluru. Welcome to English Talks. Tonight, you will listen to Dr. Jyotsna Sharma, Assistant Professor at Sanjay Gandhi College of Education, Hibbar. She will talk about the myths and realities of the English language teaching in India.
A young man named Rajesh attended a job interview. When asked to introduce himself, he said, Sir, I am myself Rajesh, sir. I am having 2 years experience in accounting. I'm having good knowledge of accounting. I'm liking to work in your company because it is a very good company. The interview lasted less than 5 minutes and Rajesh walked out without the job. His technical skills were not in the question. The problem was his English. This is not just about the story of Rajesh. It reflects the reality of many Indian youth today. India, a multicultural nation with 22 officially recognized languages and hundreds of dialects, hosts around 129 million English speakers, making it the second largest English-speaking country in the world after the United States. In a land so linguistically diverse, English acts as a powerful bridge, linking people, ideas, and opportunities across borders. English is more than just a language. It is a window to the world. It gives access to knowledge, education, science, technology, media, and global platform. From trade and business to entertainment and social life, English opens doors everywhere. Hence, it is essential to equip today's learners with strong English skills, as proficiency in English expands their prospects, empowers them, shapes their careers, and helps them succeed in a fast-moving global world. Today's students learn English like scholars of paper. They know every rule of grammar, be it noun, pronoun, figures of speech, syntax, you name it. They can memorize definitions, solve exercises, and yes, they ace those paper-pencil exams with flying colors. But here is the catch. The moment they try to speak or have a casual conversation to express their thoughts, something happens. They go full, which I call Porky Pig syndrome. I mean, they stumble, they stammer, and they fill sentences with all, like, and they just end up giving a word salad to the listener, and suddenly all that textbook knowledge seems to be vanished. The reality hits harder after graduation. These young men and women enter workplaces where they are expected to operate at a high level of thinking, to analyze, evaluate, create, make decisions. And here is the twist. They are expected to do all of this not in their mother tongue but in a second language, that is English. As parents and teachers, we need to ask the question about how do we bridge the gap between knowing English on paper and using it confidently in real life? Why are students not truly learning English? Somewhere along the line, we focus too much on teaching and too little on learning. We love to teach, but we forget that language learning happens only when students make meaningful social connections. Time has changed, curricula have evolved, and students' ways of learning have transformed. But often, teaching methods have not. We need to remind ourselves that English is no longer just a subject to memorize. In fact, it is a skill to be developed. The big question is, why aren't we as a nation able to produce English writers, poets, thinkers, or speakers? The answer is simple. We need to reflect upon and act on the ways we teach English at different levels of schooling. Teaching rules alone is not enough. Skills are not memorized, they are practiced. You don't learn swimming by reading the rules. You jump into the water. Similarly, you don't learn English by memorizing grammar or by cramming textbook answers. You learn by using it in real life situation. What we need is less chalk and talk and more connect and communicate. Less grammar hammer and more meaningful chatter. Less rote learning and more real learning. If we truly want our learners to be communicative competent, we must stop treating English as a school subject and start nurturing it as a life skill. Language is not about perfect grammar. It is about powerful communications. As I like to say, better to speak broken English than to keep English broken inside you. The real challenge before us is not teaching English. It is teaching it the right way, in a way that actually connects with learners and makes them use it in real life situations. One of our biggest misconceptions is thinking that English teaching is the sole responsibility of the English teacher. Don't take me wrong, but it is actually the duty of every subject teacher. This is where the idea of language across the curriculum comes in. Whether it is science, history, mathematics, every teacher needs to be mindful of language while teaching content. Their choice of words, the way they frame questions, and how they guide students to listen, speak, read, and write, all of it shapes language learning. Even assignments and projects should not just test content knowledge, but also encourage expression, clarity, and communication. After all, language is not a subject locked in one classroom. It is a skill that flows through every subject, every lesson, and every interaction in school. When we talk about teaching English, the real question is, which form of spoken English should we promote among the students? Which English are we really talking about? Is it the Queen's English, receipt pronunciation, the so-called standard? Is it American English with its global influence, or is it the more practical versions like Kitchen English? Just enough for everyday survival, which helps in shopping or making small talk, etc. And then there is a Pidgin English, a simplified form created when groups without a common language need to communicate. Here comes another point. Do we ask students to drop their mother tongue completely? The answer is no. Modern pedagogy encourages translanguaging, which means allowing students to use their own language alongside English. Code mixing and code switching are not mistakes. They are powerful tools. For example, a teacher might say, "Children, today we are learning about fractions. Half means ardha in Kannada, ya adha in Hindi." Or a student might say, "Ma'am, can I go out thoda der ke liye?" This natural flow between languages actually strengthens learning instead of blocking it. In fact, what most Indians speak today is general Indian English, an accepted, functional and widely understood variety that blends global English with local flavor. Therefore, English in India does not need to be imported wholesale from Britain or America. It needs to be lived, adapted and taught in a way that resonates with our learners. We often go wrong in teaching English because we mix up language acquisition with language learning. Think about it. How many of us memorize 500 grammar rules or 2000 vocabulary words before saying our first hello? Isn't it? None. We acquire our mother tongue naturally by listening, observing and speaking. This is language acquisition. But for English, a second language, we push students into endless grammar drills and exercises, forgetting that language grows when it is used, not just studied. Language learning, on the other hand, is deliberate, practice and instruction, but it works best when paired with real use. Research shows every learner can acquire English naturally with exposure, practice and motivation. Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis tells us that meaningful input like stories, songs, podcasts, TED Talks, news articles, debates, essays, interviews, and even blogs is far more powerful than fear of exams. Classrooms should be spaces of conversation where students engage with authentic, real-world content instead of just textbooks. Motivation, curiosity, and regular practice build real competence. Students learn to focus on meaning, ideas, and communication, not just grammar. In short, English is not a subject to memorize, it's a skill to live, a process to acquire, and a journey to learn. Truly, this is learning beyond the textbook and developing the skills every student needs. Modern English teaching thrives on comprehensible input, which exposes learners to language slightly above their current level, yet understandable through context. Listening to audios, watching videos, reading variety of text, role plays, and engaging with real-world content helps learners internalize the language naturally. Automatic language growth or ALG works just like how we learn our mother tongue. Listening, understanding, and naturally starting to speak English without working about grammar rules at first. Then, dogma principles which emerged in the early 2000s. Dogma, often called as teaching unplugged. It emphasizes natural, conversation-driven learning. Imagine a classroom that is buzzing with conversation and activities in place of just a teacher talking endlessly from the front. That is the magic of learner-centered approaches, where students' interests, needs, and active participation takes a spotlight. You can also add a dash of task-based learning, where English is used to complete real-life activities, things they might actually do outside the school. Technology is a powerful tool in language learning. But let us not forget that language thrives through practice. Let technology boost practice, not replace it. Let's create a classroom where mistakes are not punished but seen as stepping stones and where questioning is encouraged at every turn. In English language teaching, the goal is not flawless grammar. It is about to use English effectively for knowledge, interaction, and lifelong learning. Some errors may fossilize, becoming ingrained habits, but teachers can address them through gentle guidance, repeated practice, and meaningful feedback rather than harsh correction. Avoid being a grammar Nazi. Instead, help students notice patterns, self-correct, and refine their language gradually. Evaluation, therefore, should focus less on rote memorization and more on meaningful use, assessing, communication, creativity, problem-solving, and critical thinking. So, dear listeners, let us break the myths, embrace the realities, and reimagine English learning, not as a burden, but as a bridge to opportunity, creativity, and self-expression. As a formal closure, I wish to say that English has immense value, but relying only on it undermines Indian languages. The real secret to success is not speaking English with a perfect accent. It's mastering your own language, your own culture, and building from that strength. India must strengthen its native languages for inclusivity and culture continuity while still engaging with English. Thank you. Happy learning.
You were listening to English Talks. Tonight, our guest was Dr. Jyotsna Sharma. She's an assistant professor at Sanjay Gandhi College of Education, Hibbar. She was talking about the myths and realities of the English language teaching in India. This program was brought to you by Akashvani, Bengaluru.